Do here on 1FM 91.3. Good times, greatest hits.
Alrighty, time for our very interesting motoring chat this morning with Sheldon Trollope. He is a motoring journalist who has been reviewing cars for the last 25 years. And Sheldon's also the Chief Product and Communications Officer at Ignition Labs. And they are a door-to-door car after-sales app that brings convenience and time savings to every motorist. Welcome to the studio.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Alrighty, so thanks for joining us, Sheldon. Now, driving in wet weather, very tricky, very nerve-wracking for some people as well. And we want to know what are some of the dangers of driving on a wet road, because the weather has been so unpredictable in Singapore these days. I mean, when it rains, it pours like yesterday out of nowhere. Yeah. So what do we want to take note of when we're driving on wet roads?
Yeah, when I came in this morning, it started raining as well. So I think we are in for a spell of wet weather.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think what I notice when I'm on the road, there's some drivers out there who see no difference between driving between wet and dry roads. You know, whether it's wet or dry, they just have this confidence, this amazing confidence. Maybe they got new tires, and the guy who sold them the tires told them, "Oh yeah, these are great in the rain," and therefore,
Even in a river.
yeah,
You're good.
who knows? So I think the main thing is when the roads are wet, you're gonna need a bit more distance to slow down, and you don't know maybe there's some oil on the some truck or something that went before you has some oil on the road. So those are little surprises that nobody wants, but we have to be ready for anyway. You have to anticipate.
That's a good point.
Amazing that we even have to kind of say this. It's kind of obvious, isn't it?
It's obvious, but the way some people drive seems like,
I think sometimes we just take for granted. It's like, oh yeah, it's raining, but you don't think about it. As you're rushing about trying to get to the school, pick up your kids on time. So it's really good that you pointed out. And this thing about oil being present on the road, add with water, woohoo!
Yeah.
What a combo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been away, actually, Sheldon. Just come back to Singapore, but something that made the headlines recently was the wet weather causing cars to slide down Funan carpark mall, and then they kind of hit the sides.
Yeah, that's a very
of this
interesting
winding, of the winding car park as you go down.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people worry about this. You can see the marks on these walls every time, can't you?
Ouch.
So in those sort of situations, what do you do especially if you're driving a car with an electric handbrake?
Okay, so I've actually been down that ramp as well, and my observation of that ramp is that it's a very long, straight, downhill ramp before you meet that corner. So what I feel is that, yes, of course, if rain and the roads were wet, the surface could have contributed to the slickness of it. But the main problem is, I think some drivers, they aren't able to anticipate or to modulate the speed at which you have to go. If you slow down enough, even if the surface is wet, your car can still make that turn safely. But the problem is, I think, because there's no speed hump in the middle of the ramp or just before the corner to remind drivers to slow down and to slow right down to walking pace or whatever speed you and negotiate the hump at. That's what happens. You have too much speed built up, and by the time they realize, it's too late, and there's nothing that the brakes or the tires can do.
I see.
So that said, if you slow down, sufficiently, and you've been driving a car that's around 10 years old, which is majority of drivers, almost every car comes with two very important tools to help mitigate this situation. The first is ABS brakes, and the second most cars have is something called VSC, or in some cars it's called DSC, or some sort of skid control device. So if you look around your car, you'll see a switch with a picture of a car and some wiggly lines.
Oh, like the
at
traction
bottom of
button?
it. Yeah, the traction button.
Wait, is it on when it's lit up?
Most cars have it on by default.
Okay.
So you can switch it off, but that's sort of almost 0.01% of situations where you're best
To have it on.
all the time. Because
All
you
the
never
time?
know. Yeah, all the time. So when you turn on your car, as a default, most of the time these things come on.
Hey, but does it take up more petrol?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Because more traction,
It's-
right?
it's
My
there
car needs more
to
power.
save you in such situations.
Singaporean mind.
So what happens is, if you're coming down that slippery ramp and trying to make a turn, for example,
Yeah.
That and the ABS system works in conjunction to basically keep your car on the intended path. So when you turn your wheel and you're aiming at a certain, to go around the corner,
Yeah.
so the electronics will slowly work the brakes individually on the wheel or cut power as needed and stuff like that, so that you can slow down enough for the turn. But you have to, everything is within its limits as well, and if you're going too fast, even those systems can't save
Can
you.
be like overridden.
Yeah.
right?
Okay. I'm sure there are some other sneaky things that we can do as well.
Yes, there is.
Do come join us for the chat. We're live on Facebook. It's 1FM 913. Send us your questions as well, 88550913 on WhatsApp, or as a comment on our Facebook Live. Back with more Sheldon in just a bit. Everyone, welcome to the Brightside. It's okay. We're chatting with Sheldon Trollope, a motoring journalist with over 25 years of experience driving and reviewing cars.
Yes, and you know what? I want to find out more about your AutoApp. Can you tell us more about this app that you developed? Who is it for? What kind of services does it provide?
Okay, AutoApp was something that my partners and I created about 4 years ago.
Wow.
So everyone has a car, use words, guru, that they kind of refer to on car buying decisions or maintenance and things like that. So my friends and I got together and said, why don't we turn this into a business, because everyone's sort of asking us for advice and where to send their cars all the time. And one of the things we realized is that even as car enthusiasts ourselves, we hate sending our cars in for servicing or inspection or what have you, and just hang around, and you just feel like you've got things to do. I don't want to burn my lunch hour, or I don't want to burn a weekend or take time off. I wish somebody could get it done for me. So that's where AutoApp was created, where we create this car care concierge, basically. And it's an app. You book the service on the app, and you tell us what you need, whether it's servicing or inspection or repair, etc. We send somebody who's dressed like me to pick up your car. And they're a service ambassador, and basically they will be your liaison between to tell you, update your car, what it needs to be done and stuff like that.
But does it get sent to like a service center of your choice, or it's the ones that are under AutoApp?
We can do either. So we do have a network of workshops that we work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wonder, as someone who's not a driver, right? But I'm just imagining myself in that situation when you need to get it serviced, and you go in and the mechanic's telling you, this one, that needs to be done and shifted, or this is going to cost you a lot. And you probably, as a layman, have no clue. Is that what you guys, as kind of the middleman, could then be? No, I think it's fine. I mean, can you intervene in that scenario?
Yeah, basically we do communicate what the findings are for car,
right?
And ultimately it's the customer that makes the decision.
But do you guys advise and consult in that sense? Like, we don't necessarily agree with what's been advised. Is that right? Am I right saying
that would be great.
Yes, we can. Normally that kind of discussion is done between us and the mechanic, and by the time we deal with the customer, we report to them. It's sort of information that's essential that we feel that it's important to do. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. So if I didn't know what the phalange needs changing, and I'm like, what's a phalange? You'd be able to break it down for us, right?
Yeah, I guess we would. Yeah. But I don't know what a phalange is.
It's not a part on
Is
a
it
car.
a word you just made up?
No, it's an actual thing.
Yeah, it's actual part of a plane. Some part of a plane wing or something like that.
Well,
very useful for driving then.
Plane app,
Shell, can you share with us some memorable experiences you've had test driving cars?
Oh, there's so many over the years. Sometimes I used to travel a lot. We used to drive overseas. Before the car is launched here, they'd send us, to all kinds of places to drive the cars, and rightly so, because in Singapore, with the traffic conditions being what they are, sometimes you don't get a chance to sort of experience what the car was built for, especially for these high-performance cars.
You want to go fast, don't you?
Sometimes, frankly, you want to, if they say this car does this, you want to make sure that it does what it says on the tin. Yeah, so we We get sent to places like Spain has many
Wow.
awesome driving roads, for example.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Do you go on tracks as well? And
Yes,
and go
sometimes
as
they
fast
do
as you
rent a
can?
track, and
Oh,
then
nice.
that's where you can kind of explore. And often you have like a racing driver or someone like that to show you the finer points of driving, show you maybe what you're not doing right, or show you ways to get the most out of the car to drive it correctly.
And so that's different for every car, right? The best way to drive a car, or in general, it's like, okay, this rule should apply to all cars. Like a certain technique, for instance.
Yeah, so generally you have, for about 90% of the cars, the sort of principles are the same. Then to really get the last, few percent out of certain cars, that requires a bit of nuance, and with experience and seat time, that comes to you. And of course, this is where some of the engineers and experts will also point out to you, in this car we have, this, and you can do this and that.
So is it true that some cars would be more efficient at like a certain speed? For example, our
Yes.
road limits here are like 80, 90, but some cars are actually built to be a bit more petrol efficient or energy efficient at say maybe 90 or 100.
Yeah,
Is that
so
correct?
all cars are designed to meet certain emissions and fuel consumption targets as well. So, and all of them are sort of designed to be more efficient at certain speeds, low speeds driving around town and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
at about 50, they're designed to be. They're generally designed to be efficient. 80, between 80 to 100, that's the other one.
Okay, that's cool to know. I thought I was doing something wrong. Anyway, we're going to jump back live on 91.3. Do join us there.
Earlier with Torn here on the Brightside. Hey, good morning to you.
We are chatting with Sheldon Trollope, a motoring journalist with over 25 years of experience driving and reviewing cars. And he's also the Chief Product and Communications Officer over at Ignitions Lab Private Limited, who is the founder of AutoApps. You might have heard of them, or AutoApp. Today we're chatting about what to do or how to drive best under wet weather conditions.
So, Sheldon, we've asked you a number of things, scenarios in Singapore that happened with Funan, and of course, test driving cars, which I know a lot of guys out there would be like, "Oh, that sounds amazing." But listen, going back to the heavy rain situation, right? A common occurrence here is aquaplaning or hydroplaning. Why does this happen, and what can we do better to control the car?
Generally, aquaplaning or hydroplaning is the phenomenon when if a tire hits a patch of water that is too fast, and the tire grooves are there to eject water. They're designed to dispel water. But at a certain speed, if it hits it too fast, you know how if you sort of dive into a pool and you land belly first, it hurts because suddenly water at that speed when you hit
Oh,
it
yeah.
feels a bit,
Yeah.
like you're landing on cement. Imagine that on a tire, rotating, thousands of times a second or a minute. And if it hits the water at a speed that it can't cope with, then it loses that contact, and basically the film of water gets between the road and the tire, and the tire is not gripping on anything. So that's where it becomes dangerous. So
That's why you want to slow down.
that's why you want to slow down, give a chance for the tires to do its job,
Okay,
to
okay.
work properly, and we'll get you there.
So with lots of rain that's happening lately, I mean, we've got the skidding incident, and we also have flash floods from time to time. What should we do when it's flooding, or we still find ourselves suddenly driving in one? That's one of my biggest nightmares. Like, how do I drive? Should I not drive? Should I stay put? What do I do?
You
Yeah.
take out the rubber dinghy in your car and you start rolling on it.
Roll your boat.
Yeah, driving in floods is actually a pretty dangerous thing because you get into it, and sometimes it can look deceiving. It may look like a puddle that doesn't seem that deep.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, when you get into it, you're up to your doors in water, and then your car dies, and that's it. So my advice is, if you see a huge puddle of water, there are no cars, or there's some cars stranded there, don't be a hero. Don't try to negotiate the flood. Try to, stop there. Try and drive around it. Find another route. Do everything you can to avoid driving.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you suddenly find yourself in one for whatever reason? I was like, I thought it was going to be shallow, and then it's not shallow. Because I think in JB, that's what happened. Some
Right.
Singaporean cars were trying to drive through the flood.
Yeah. So the problem, the danger with that is that if you think you can make it and it looks like, oh, it's just a few meters before it clears. You don't know how much deeper it goes.
Right.
So the danger is if you keep going, you might find yourself too deep and, up to your roof, even,
Whoa.
and it doesn't look like much, but it does add up in some parts of the world. So, look, if you really don't have a choice and you just have to get through it, then my advice is don't stop. Just find a way to just keep moving, power through it. Not sort of give it full throttle, but consistent throttle, so that the water doesn't have a chance to enter the tailpipe and go that way. Yeah, and just hope.
Okay.
Yeah, so
and just pray. Yeah.
Yeah, my sort of off-roader friends will tell you that if you hit a sweet spot, you'll see a bow wave, basically like a wave a wick being created in front of your bonnet, and that gives the engine just a little bit of air space to keep functioning. But
Interesting.
that really, I have to stress, is a last resort.
Yep.
Like if you can avoid it, if you don't even attempt it.
Okay. Only even the pros.
If you have a snorkel on the roof of your car and things like that, I mean, you're asking for it. And even then, I've seen it go very horribly wrong as
dear.
well. Because if water enters your interior of the car, gets into the seats and the sponge, you'll never get that stuff out. You'll be, months from now, you'll still be, every time you sit down, there's a squishy sound, and then mold sets in, you got gross smells and all that. So it's just not worth it, guys.
Oh, then I just changed my car to a fish tank. Easy. Hey, we're chatting with Sheldon Trollope. He is a motoring journalist of over 25 years, reviewing and driving cars. If you have any questions, send them through 88550913. Some questions coming through via WhatsApp. Going to address them on Facebook Live. Do join us there. Jokey, got a question here from let's see,
Claudius?
what's
Claudius.
his name? Yeah, Claudius. Levy, you want to read out his question?
Sure. So Claudius is saying, with sudden heavy downpour, water puddles can build up real quick. And when driving through one, the car can experience some pull towards the sides, and the driver may sense a loss of control for a second. So would you agree that what is the tips to overcome this? Is it to remain calm and control the steering wheel and not try to overcorrect?
That's
You don't
right.
want to cause the car to swing off control. What do you say to that, Sheldon?
Okay, so there are two common situations. One is you hit a big puddle and suddenly you feel a loss of steering and nothing happens.
Yes.
The other one also could be there's a big puddle on the other side of the road. You're driving by and a truck goes on it and suddenly you're blinded. Suddenly it splashes all this water and you can't see where you're going. Same thing. The best thing you can do is remain calm and know that it's going to be over in a second or so.
Sure.
Hold your steering wheel with both hands. Hold it firm, but not
Too tight.
Not too tight,
Okay.
right? Just kind of make sure, just hold it and prevent it from sort of veering off left or right. Okay. And then here's the very important part: the pedals. Foot off the pedals.
What?
No brake, no accelerator. Just
Really?
just let the
Coast.
car come to to its thing. It will find the water back because it will find it's the tires will find its way back to the road, and then you'll have control.
Really?
And
That
then
sounds
once
kinda
you feel
scary
that
to
it's
do.
over, then you keep going. Yeah,
So don't even brake because
brake.
that will cause the car to spin.
it could. It could.
I
Yes.
that's interesting. I wouldn't, instinctively, I would never think of doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Both feet off all the pedals.
Because no control. I mean, the only thing you're controlling is the
It's
direction of the
steering.
car.
Yeah,
And
so
then it's
just
like,
work on the steering.
Yeah.
All right, just keep it from going off course, and and then within a second or two, the car will get its control back, and you can keep going.
hey, I wanted to ask you, so with the skidding thing down like Funan, right? Like, could we have done anything with the handbrake, for instance? If I find my car skidding downhill, can I pull the handbrake? I mean, would that stop the car, or is that going to hurt the situation?
Okay, so assuming you've slowed down sufficiently for that, and you still find that the car is still going towards the wall rather
Yeah.
than going to where I want to do, the best thing you can do is step on the brakes as hard as you can and let the ABS do its job.
Okay.
So, and this is where a lot of people are not used to the sensation of the ABS working and stuff like that.
What
So-
is that sensation?
So the sensation is you'll feel a pulsing through the
Tuk, 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 tuk,
yes,
tuk.
yes. That's exactly what you'll feel through the.
I know that because I've
pedal.
slammed my brakes a couple of times.
So her sound effect was actually accurate.
Pretty
Then.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
History has been made. On what
So so despite when it's pulsing and doing its thing, that's the ABS doing its job. That's it working.
So don't panic.
Just
when that
don't
happens.
panic. Just keep your foot pressed on the brake, and and it will steer your car through the thing. And of course, you have to, aim the car with the steering in the direction that you want it to go.
Right.
Okay.
And it should be able to get you out of trouble.
Okay, we're going to recap that and then just wrap up with some driving tips on air, okay?
Yeah.
0.3 Good Times Greatest Hits and people moving on up here on the bright side. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're about to wrap up our chat with Sheldon Trollope. He is the Chief Product and Communications Officer at Ignition Labs Private Limited, also motoring journalist or veteran motoring journalist. That's a
Feel
mouthful.
old.
Yeah, you've been doing this for 25 years, so you've had your fair share of test driving cars and all that. So one thing we were just chatting about on Facebook Live is, if you're going down a slope and you're skidding because the roads are wet, to avoid yourself or to avoid slamming into the side barrier or the wall, what should someone do apart from slow down? Pulling my handbrake, is that going to help?
I wouldn't advise it, especially if you're negotiating a turn, because what happens is if you pull your handbrake mid-turn, the back of the car is going to swing out, and you're going to hit the wall with the back of your car rather than the front of your car. You're going to oversteer.
Okay.
In that
Because
situation.
that's the first thing that came to mind, pull the handbrake to bring my car to a complete stop.
If you're going down a straight path, maybe, but generally, emergency brakes like that, they're designed to keep your car from moving off in the first place,
Right.
more than to slow your car
Slow
down.
down.
So that again is a really last, ditch attempt, but never do it when you're negotiating a corner. Do it on a straight road if you have to.
Okay.
But like driving in floods, I'd really wouldn't advise to even do that in the first place.
So what should someone do?
What you should do is slow down sufficiently before the corner, and if you find that the car is still not going the way you want to, foot on the brake and steer through it. Just keep your foot on brake, let the ABS do its work. The ABS cannot help you if your foot is not on the brake pedal. Or if your foot is off the brake pedal. So a lot of people think that they should pump the brakes, or they think something's wrong if they feel this vibration through the pedal. Yeah, but it's actually normal. Shouldn't be alarmed with it. Just keep your foot there and steer through.
Because you spoke on Facebook Live that it's the ABS sensation that people aren't aware about, and that kind of freaks them out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that again is the tuk 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 tuk.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's
And
the
then-
ABS working.
Yes,
So
yes.
even when you feel the tuk 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 tuk,
Yes.
Continue
you still keep
pressing
your
the brake.
feet.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, just
Okay.
So and there's one more thing that you can do. Mm-hmm.
Call you on the AutoApp.
Well, that's after if
After
something
you did
happens to
the
your
help.
car.
Yeah.
I see. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. After the accident,
Oh, Sheldon.
if there is no. What you want to do is with the steering. A lot of drivers find that your steering wheel is turned, but the car is still not turning. It's still going towards
Yeah.
the wall, and then they turn some more because they think they're not turning enough,
Yeah.
and then that worsens the problem. So that's a situation called understeer, and what happens is that your tires will only work with so much of grip. So if there's not enough grip, it can't do its job and it can't turn your car for you. So what you want to do is lessen the steering of the angle, and you'll find that the front tires will regain its grip. So it sounds counterintuitive
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I want to turn away from the wall, but then I have to relax my steering and
Yeah,
turn.
yeah.
And normally you do sort of small movements, and generally speaking, try your best. Don't give up the fight. Yeah, it's a fight. Literally, if you're in a
Wrestling.
Fighting
situation
yourself
trying
lah.
to
Yeah.
get the car to turn, right? So just unwind the wheel just a little bit to get the traction, and if you find that's not doing, then wind it back and keep sawing, keep working at the wheel. Don't give up, and 9 times out of 10 you will make it.
Oh.
Yeah, but a lot of drivers find that at some point they just kind of give up and even let go of the wheel or things like that. And, so
That's it lah.
and then of course
give up.
your car doesn't have a chance.
Call
then.
Sheldon lah on
Okay,
AutoApp.
bang into the wall. It's okay. At least I will stop.
Yeah, yeah,
If you have the big bang, we've got Sheldon.
that's
Yeah,
right.
that's
Hey.
right.
we can use
I
that
see what
one.
you did there.
Yeah.
All right, Sheldon, it's been so much fun chatting with you. So much knowledge coming from how to drive in the wet weather right here in Singapore, and of course how to prevent accidents as well. If you want to find out more about what to do in wet weather, or if you want to find out more about AutoApp, this great app that Sheldon has, where can people reach you?
You can download the app from the App Store or Google Play Store if you're on Android, or else look us up on our website, autoapp.sg.
And you do everything from like picking up the car, dropping it off, helping with like service and maintenance and all that kind of thing. Everything. I'll go find out more with the AutoApp. Thanks so much, Sheldon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Good times. Greatest hits. 1FM.